Okay, so we are in Hilchos Matnos Aniyim 7:13, which is a lot shorter than I thought. I thought this was like a beginning a series of halachos. It's just one little guy. Ani shehu krovo kodem l'chol adam. A poor person who is your relative comes before everyone. V'ani beso kodmin la'ani iro. And the poor people of your house, your household, right, come before the Aniyim of your city. V'ani iro kodmin la'ani ira cheres. And the Aniyim of your city come before the Aniyim of another city. Right? It says it straight in the pasuk. La'achicha for your brother, that's your relative. La'aniyecha for your poor, I guess that's your household. Ule'evyonecha be'artzecha, and the destitute in your land, I guess that's before other lands. Yeah. So anyone get what I was alluding to when I said this is not popular among the woke crowd?
Not really.
Oh, because you're helping yourself first?
Partially, yeah.
It's nepotism, which in modern values is looked down upon, but
okay, I mean, yeah, people don't like nepotism. That's true. But I think
you're not going to like the bottom.
Yeah, it's because you're not doing it based on needs of like who in the society has the greatest needs, you know. And that's something that I wanted to like think about, because I'm not an economist, but what would you say again? And I'm not only not an economist, I'm also not a Torah economist, so I also don't know what the Torah's economic philosophy is. But what would you say, like, just what would you say the sense is, or there's not even one answer. What would you say the reasoning might be for why you do this order?
I mean, this is the order that you most commonly encounter.
Okay, that's definitely one thing, right? Okay, yeah, right. So in terms of like proximity in practical terms, like the people who you are in the best position to help are the people who are like you're related to, and then in your household, and then in your city, then other cities. And in terms of your care, you definitely, this is not going against the tide, this is going with the tide of human emotion in terms of like you naturally want to help these people, and then after you take care of that, then it goes out and out. Yeah, Yosef?
The people who are closest to it is generally what you're most responsible for, and so you care for those you're responsible for, and that
right.
That would be the same reason why Mikra Hadin, you would not always treat the non-Jewish poor the same as Jewish poor.
Right, that's also true as well, right? I think that you're right. I do think this does explain why that's a further category, right? Is ircha and then iracheres and then amacha and then amacheres, you know? Yeah.
Also means that whatever the impact of aside from caring, aside from the possibility of
yeah.
Whatever that's also going to bring about in the person means, I imagine would have a greater impact.
Okay, yeah. So that was right. That was why I deployed the mod here of I'm not an economist. Now I can say anything I want about economics, right? Is that that I think that there is an intuitive sense. Look, everyone realizes that there's this idea of you need infrastructure in order for people to thrive. Yeah.
Sorry,
you interrupted my economic discourse. Yeah.
I didn't mean that economically. I meant like wise.
Oh, okay. So let me say my economic thing, and then you're gonna. Yeah. No, I think you're right also. But I was gonna say that like let's give a hypothetical scenario based on the Aruch Shulchan's statement about our actual scenarios. Okay, is that we are largely in Klal Yisrael and Galus is not like well, I guess okay, whatever. They're rich Jews and stuff, but you know, typically there's also a lot of poor people, a lot of needs, etc. Okay, so let's say you have a city, okay, that is like barely struggling to get by. Okay, and it helps just imagine like a third world country and a city in that. Okay, so let's say we said that all the people in that city should send their money off to a poorer country, right? So first of all, there's the factors that like we just mentioned, which is if you have people like in your household or your neighbors who have needs, and like you're bypassing them in order to help people in a completely different location. So that's obviously going to be very, very hard to do. And there's people going to have resistance to that. But I'm saying that there's a separate idea also of like, once you rehabilitate you build up the infrastructure here and get everyone on their feet, then that can also lead to greater people taking care of their needs and then generate more money. So you have this whole thing of like radiating outwards, you know, which the reason why I'm hesitant to say this is I know that like that, you know, in one of the great economic debates that seems to have taken a different turn is with trickle down economics, right? Which is not the way that people envisioned that it was supposed to work. But I think a lot of that is due to the way that people like hoard money and stuff. And, I don't think that's like, in a simple society like this, I think that there's merit to say that this actually works. Like you take care of the people who don't have food. Let's say you have someone who doesn't have food and doesn't have a place to sleep, right? So if you get them food and sleep and a job, so now they can start generating income, and then that could go outwards. And I think that's not a crazy idea. Okay. Yeah, Joseph and then Oren. Yeah.
It's not the pressure give for also losing pressure is it the way you're describing, you're more or less just saying you agree with the perspective that the goal is to make sort of enrich and alleviate everybody. You just think that this counterintuitive way happens to be better.
Yeah, I think Hashem Tov Hashem Lakol Rachma V'Kol Masav. Everyone, the ideal is that everyone gets all their needs.
Didn't he say that at the beginning of the prayer?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
What was the ideal?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a wide pressure for also that we're structured around. It's a feeling of each individual person is the same thing as you. For the rich person who used to be rich, you drive in front of him.
Right. So that's also true. Is that you're saying we're not talking about objective needs.
Yeah.
Right. We're not talking about biological needs. We're talking about all needs, which includes psychological needs. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, but I don't see what that has to do with what I just said.
There are ways that both two things which are not operating off this Western balance sheet framework.
Yes, that's also true. Right. Correct. Yeah. We should keep a checklist of things in Hilchos that go against Western values. Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a counterpoint, but just like something feels off to me about this. Like Kiryas Joel, for example, which is north here, an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
Has some of the highest poverty rates in the country.
Right.
Far Rockaway is pretty well off.
Right.
So why should I don't know, wouldn't it make sense to support them and rather than like people who are just maybe a little bit doing not so great here, but like they're still in Far Rockaway, which is still a very rich place. At least this part of Far Rockaway.
Right. I mean, there are always going to be other places that are poor, right? But I'm not hearing an argument. Why shouldn't we take care of our poor first?
I just understand, why shouldn't we do it based on need? They need more than we do.
Well, no. So I think that's like kind of what we've been getting into.
Yeah.
Is that it's not objective in that sense. Meaning it is like it is subjective. Like tzedakah is a subjective.
That's what I'm asking for, I guess.
Why is tzedakah?
Well, okay. Well, I think there's a more primary, not more important, but like prior point.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to say also. So it seems like this makes sense because if you were to go the other way around, then you would have to say that unless you go to the poorest part of the world and you like give them all of the needs that you're used to, then you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah in like its highest.
Yeah, we have to remember also just in terms of the context of like how the world worked back then. You can't just like wire money, to places and stuff like that. Like there's a very like basic practical thing here. Like you can send money, but that's like a treacherous like type thing. So it also makes sense that you go from inwards to outwards. And I think that's the point. I forgot if I said this when we first started learning the halacha, that the reason why we're learning this. Did I tell you about the friend of mine who wanted to get the braces? This whole thing? No. Okay. So the whole thing that made me, the whole underlying motive, no, the whole reason why I wanted to pick tzedakah is I have this friend who's Jewish, but she's not religious. And we had her over for Sukkot, and she's a very, 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 I did say this. Yeah. I'll say it again. Very, very kind person and gives away tons of money for tzedakah. And so she was contemplating getting like Invisalign for her teeth or whatever, which she like never spends money on herself, and like this is like one thing she wanted to do. And then but there's this friend of hers who like has some connection to some Jewish community in like Africa somewhere, and like they had a bunch, and this guy like has an orphanage, and like he takes care of orphans, so that's like a pretty good cause, and but also he's kind of sketchy and she doesn't know stuff. And then Johnny, who knows a lot about Africa, said start talking about like how these things work in Africa and how like you can't just like send money there and assume that it's going to get to where you want it to go, even if it's real. But anyway, so she was in this conflict. And one of the points we made to her is we're in a world where we're hyper connected, and the needs of everyone on the planet, what did we just reach 8 billion people, right? Just like last week. Yeah. Like you're aware of all these needs everywhere. So there's always going to be like needs that that can be supplied. And you could say, well, we should send all the money to all those people, first of all, there's not enough resources that you have to go around. I mean, I think in the world there are, but like I think this gets back to our original point. It goes against human nature. I mean, okay, without going into the whole thing, I'm not an economist, but communism doesn't work, and one of the reasons why, I mean, one of the reasons why like these things failed is you had a bunch of these people who were working and then seeing all of their money go off to the state, and then it can't sustain itself, because then why am I going to work for something that I can't even see and support? Like, so those. What I'm saying though is this is the derech of the Torah. The derech of the Torah is anti-communism. The derech of the Torah is to work with human emotions, not against it, and to just push it to the next level. So it goes against our emotions to give money anyway. So we start off by being Machshavah you to give money to people who you're related to. Then we push you to give money to people who are in your house who you're not related to. Then to your city, and you push outwards. Whereas if you just try to like jump the gun and like it's easy to get a kid to share with his friend. I mean, it's hard enough. But if you say, "Oh, you're eating a candy bar, take it and send it overseas," the kid's just not going to learn the mitzvah of sharing. I think that's what you were getting at. That in terms of mitzvah development, we saw that in the very mitzvahs of tzedakah itself, it's not all about tzedek for like supplying people's needs. It's also about cultivation of nedivus. And for cultivation of nedivus, it's gonna be much better cultivation if you start it in an area that's like aligned with your emotions. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, also, I like an example of earlier putting down of like
Yeah.
Which I can say eventually in Memphis.
Yeah.
That very much hard. A few very, very wealthy people in the community.
Yeah.
And, this is a lot of money from people like outside of the community, but they choose to invest a lot of their charity in the community.
Right.
And I think that's in the community.
Okay, yeah, that's
battle up with that charity given in the community, like growing and people in the community now also help.
Right. That's also that's really good. And that doubles with your point with I'm sure people know that that's going on. And that also is inspiring to them to give tzedakah in a way that would be different than if they were just like donating to some other some other thing. Yeah.
And it's just almost a logistical point though.
Yeah.
For like, this is to cultivate with the ability, or whatever you said before.
Yeah. Plug in the idea.
Of being able to give money, whatever.
Yeah.
Are you still then saying that the highest idea, like the ideal would be to give to those people, but it just logistically,
I'm saying
we can't.
I'm saying that the ideal would be where all people in the world have all their needs taken care of.
Right.
But logistically, we start with, for logistical infrastructure reasons and logistical mitos development reasons, we start inwards and we work our way outwards.
But in terms of like moral ideal,
everyone should have all their needs taken care of. Yeah, yeah, and that is, again, we express that in Ashrei.
Right.
With Poseichas Yedacha and Tovasham L'Kol V'Racham Kol Maasav, and we say that in time of Mashiach, then that's what it's going to be. But it's a long road. Yeah.
If I were to be someone who goes for this earlier, how does this interact with giving to Jews versus non-Jews?
So it is a good question about why the Rambam doesn't include that halacha here, because he put it early. Where did he put it? Right. He said, so that was in terms of the demographic or the population that we give money to. He said, where did he put it? There's something around here, right? Yeah, that's in the same halacha as the Aniyim who are circling around. That's interesting, right? So you're saying, where does the non-Jew fit in here?
Well, I guess
right. I guess it would be an era, right? Yeah, right. I mean, unless you have a non-Jewish relative, right? Then it would be relative, yeah. Or it wouldn't be a relative. It would be your wife. I guess then you're not really related to them. Yeah.
Would it be b'nei beso?
It would be b'nei beso. Well, okay. I guess if they're living in your house, I guess it would be not living. I don't think beso is just literally your household. Yeah, yeah. So like let's say like whatever let's say you have a non-Jewish son, right? Let's say like you sleep with a goy. So he is your son, but like he's not a Jew. So he's a karov, you know.
Okay.
And if it's I mean, it'll slide into one of the categories probably. I think that's the answer. That's a good question though. Yeah. Did you have another question?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think what we should do is he has this reference to the more nevuchim for why the karo comes first, but I think we'll have to wait till next time. I don't think we should start that right now. And no Rambam Bekius tomorrow from me. But yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Have a good day.
Just because you're going to see.